Good morning, everybody. Welcome to an exciting week of narrative. It's a new text today, and instead of doing lots of writing this week, we're going to be doing lots of practical activities, lots of doing, making, lovely fun things for your family to get involved in. So, you can choose to do all of the activities this week, or you can do a bit of a pick and mix and choose your favourites. It's absolutely up to you. So let's get started. It's Monday the 22nd of June today, and let's find out which text we're going to be looking at. It's called Ruby's Worry by Tom Percival. This is a really good choice because everything's a bit funny at the moment and it can make us worry. I know that I've been a bit worried, and so has Miss Parsons. So it will be really good this week to learn some ways that help us feel better when we're starting to worry. Pine class, you will know this book because it's in our book corner, and other children from Oak class or Willow class, you might not know this book, and it's a really great one, so please do enjoy. The first thing you need to do is go and listen to me reading the story on our whole class read video. So pause this one now and go and listen to the story. See you in a minute. Okay, so in that story, Ruby's worry is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, isn't it? And in the end, it's really big. It's bigger than she is. So this week, children, we're going to be learning ways to help our worries stay nice and small, or even to disappear. Because we don't want our worries to get this big, because that's when we get really worried and quite sad. So we're going to be learning how we can make our worries small. It's exciting. Okay, so a starting question. Have a think. Can you remember a time when you had a worry? Pause the video now. You might want to talk to a grown-up or a sister or a brother. Have you been worried before? What made you worried? Now there might be lots of different things that make people worried, but at the moment, lots and lots of people are worrying about the coronavirus, aren't they? So if you said the coronavirus, that's absolutely normal. Lots of people are worrying about that at the moment. So not to worry, let's have a look and see what we can do to help ourselves. Okay, now we know, children, that worrying is very normal. It happens to everybody. It happens to grown-ups and it happens to children. And bearing that in mind, let's have a look at this. It says, in the story, what is the worst thing you can do when you have a worry? It says that there's something that is even worse than worrying. What's that? That's right. Ruby started to worry about worrying, didn't she? And that made her worry extra big. She was worrying about it in her head and not helping by talking about it. She was keeping it all in, wasn't she? So this week we're going to be thinking of lots of ways to help get our worries out and share them with other people so that they become nice and small. Let's have a look. So that's what we're going to be doing today and this week, learning fun ways to help us when we feel worried. So today, children, we're going to be making a worry jar. I will talk you through exactly how to make it and exactly how to use it. I have one of these by my bedside and it really, really helps me to keep my worries under control so that I don't worry about them all day long. So I leave them in my jar and I can always come back to them later on. But I know exactly where they are, they're nice and safe. So let's have a look at what I mean. Okay, for today's fun challenge of making our worry jar, you're going to need a jar or a container with a lid. So you might have an old jam jar or a jar of pasta sauce that you've had for dinner, or you might have a Tupperware box that you keep your lunch in. So it's up to you. You're just going to need a container with a lid. You're going to need some paper and a pencil or a pen to do a little bit of writing. Okay, so to prepare our worry jars, you are going to need to wash your jar out. If it had jam in there, you don't want it sticky inside, do you? Wash it out really well using warm water and washing up liquid, and dry it really well as well, because you're going to be putting little bits of paper in there and you don't want to get them smushy and wet. Okay, so wash out your jar, dry your jar, and you can decorate it if you like. You could stick some stickers on it. You could decorate a piece of paper and sellotape it around your jar. You could draw some pictures and glue them to your jar. It's up to you. You can decorate it. And the last thing we need to do is cut or rip our paper into small strips so that we can write little bits on the paper. So wash your jar, dry your jar, decorate your jar if you'd like to, and cut up your paper. Pause the video and off you go. Okay children, so we should have a clean jar, nice and dry, decorated if you like, and lots of strips of paper. Okay, so here's how to keep your worries safe. Every time I have a worry, children, I write it down on a strip of paper that I've just cut up, and I put it inside my worry jar. Then I put the lid on my jar, and I know that my worry is safe. So I'm not going to think about it at the moment because it's in my jar, nice and safe. So I don't need to keep it in my head, walking around wherever I go today. I know where it is. I can leave my worry in my jar. Okay, so here's a strip of paper and I've written my worry. I'm worried about what school will be like when I go back. That's making me feel a little bit worried. So I'm going to write it down and then I'm going to fold it up and put it in my worry jar like this. There we are. Now it's in my jar and I can write anything else that's worrying me on some different pieces of paper and fold them up and pop them in my worry jar for later. Remember, when they're in your jar, you don't have to worry about them because you know where they are. They're nice and safe. Okay? So that's how we keep our worries safe. What else can we do with our worry jars? Okay, we can set aside some special time to open our jars and look through our worries. Now, I usually give myself about 5 minutes a day, and some days I don't even feel like it. So you can give yourself a very short amount of time to read through your worries. And while you do that, you can think about, what could I do to help them disappear? Is there something I can do to make it better? Is there anybody who could help me? Could I ask my grown-up to help me with my worry? Could I ask my teacher to help me with my worry? So here's my worry. What will school be like when I go back? So when I'm thinking about my worry, during my worrying time, my special time, I might think, oh, maybe I'll send a message to Miss Lyons and ask her what school is like at the moment. Or maybe I'll watch that video that Mr. Jaworski posted to show me what school looks like right now. Or maybe I could talk to my mummy or my daddy or my grown-up about what school might be like when I go back. And then I could put my worry away, back in my jar, nice and safe. So I usually take about 2 to 5 minutes every day to have a look at my worries. There's one last thing we can do with our worry jars. Let me show you. This is the fun part. How to make your worries disappear. So during your worry time, when you have a look at your worries, sometimes you might think, oh, that one's gone away. I don't feel worried about that anymore. And if that's the case, you can rip up that worry into tiny little pieces and you can put it in the recycling bin because we don't need it anymore. It's not something that makes me feel worried anymore. So I can pop it in the recycling bin. And as I do that, I'm going to think, what did I do to make that worry go away? And do you think that might work if I tried it on a different worry that I've got? Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so here's one of my worries from last week. I was worried about forgetting my lunch because I hadn't been to school in a long time and I was worried I'd forget my lunch. So when I looked at my worry, I thought, well, what could I do to help myself? I know. I can write myself a note and stick it on my front door so that I'll see it when I leave the house. So I've got a big yellow post-it note and I wrote the word lunch in capital letters. Lunch! With lots of exclamation marks. Where's it gone? And I stuck it on my door right where my nose would be. So that when I got up in the morning, got ready for school, just as I was leaving my house, I saw my note, lunch, and I thought, oh gosh, let me go back to the fridge and get my lunch. And then I remembered my lunch, which was great. So when I went back to my worry jar later on, I saw this worry for getting my lunch, and I realised, I don't feel worried about that anymore because I wrote myself a note and it worked. So I was able to rip up this worry, rip it up and pop it in the recycling bin. And then I thought, oh, that's a really good idea. Next time I feel worried, I might try and write myself a reminder so that I don't forget things, because that often makes me feel worried. I get worried about forgetting things. So I can write myself a note, like I did here, to remind myself. And that's how I use my worry jar to make my worries disappear. I hope you have fun making your worry jar, children. Please do post a picture or maybe even a video of you and your worry jar to Class Dojo so that we can all share our lovely ideas together. Have a good day. Bye.